Okay, and we're back. So we spoke about, okay, so if you want to see my approach, and that's one of the ideas, one of the ways you can do it. Um, Here is my method for initials, and here is my warning method. It's very quick, very short, sorry. So let's have a look. Let's delete, sorry, let's delete this, and this is my initials method. So this is the name, public string, so it's gonna return a string, get student initials. So you get the name from oh, so that's an interesting piece. Use this just like you use self in Python. So you kind of say use that method on the instance of undergraduate. So if it's Marek, that is our instance of undergraduate. It's gonna use Marek in here dot get student name, and it's gonna take my name um from the field here, from one of the methods here. Yeah, get student name. Okay, so whatever. If I put in, let's say, Marek space Kubiak, um, it's gonna store it in name temporarily, just for that exercise, for this method. Then we get student string student initials. So I want to store the initials in the student initials. And this thing here is something I Googled. So I was just looking, how can I iterate um, through a string? You can't just take a string and take the second and third and fifth and whatever index of a string. It doesn't work that way. You have to do it that way. And that's it. That's all you have to know. If you know how to kind of um, iterate through it, then it's fine. Oh, sorry, no, character to string. So you have to do this. So that's kind of, if you wanna, I didn't want to store a character, because that gives you that bit here, that little piece in here gives you a character that is the 0th index of that string, yeah, and it returns a character. But I don't want a character, I want a string, because I can't, I need to store a character in, sorry, it's a string in a string. I can't store a character. So you use this character dot to string brackets, and you put in a character that you want to turn into string. I know it's a very like a cosmetic, very small change, but the computers work that way. They have to be very kind of, they have to know what they're doing exactly. But that's it. So then I am making this name length, so I don't have to calculate it every time. If you use this name dot, so name is that variable here, name dot length, and you put it in here, it's going to work, but it's going to have to calculate it every time you loop. So maybe, okay, this time it's going to be maximum maybe 20 characters, but it's good to be aware of the performance, computer performance. It's better to calculate something once, store it in a variable, and use it in the future, instead of calculate it every time you loop through something. So I have this. So I start with I, or index, or whatever you want to call it. It has to be clear for you, but it's kind of like you'll see it a lot. It's something that people do. Equals 0. So you initialize I at 0, the index at 0. Then you say don't be bigger than the name length minus 1. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the last letter of the name won't be one of the initials. So I did this just so my code works. And my approach here is, so first, what I did here, sorry, I assume the first letter of the full name of the student's name is one of the initials, the first initial. And then we're looking for the next ones. So if you have like Marek, Christopher, Kubiak, if you have like two names and surname, it's gonna still catch it, because it will see this space in between. So it's basically, what it does is it's checking if there is a space, and if there is space, it's gonna take the next letter after the space and add it to the student initials. That's how you add it. So you take the student plus equals, yeah? That's how you add to the initials. So that's my approach. Before I mentioned the uppercase method, you can do it that way. So assuming a person who put in the data, they know that the name has to start with the uppercase, and that could be your approach. And then you return the student initials, and that's it. For low grade warning, it's pretty easy, as I said before in the previous video. You just basically do this. If the calculate grade average, and it's funny because I didn't have to use this as I did before, and it still works. I think it's a good practice if you write this dot calculate grade average, so it knows it has to use the that method here for this specific instance. And if the grade is smaller, lesser than 50, then print initials plus average mark is the average mark, and that's it. That's the warning. And otherwise, there's no else, so it just goes and does nothing. So that's it. Okay, so that's your undergraduate. Fully finished. I'll save this, and I'll save this. Okay, so it's done. And I'll go to test, how to test it now. So test 2, test 1 was for student. Now we created test 2 for student, for undergraduate. I pretty much just copied the test 1 and just changed it slightly, so it fits the purpose. So first, you start the public static void. Public, I think it means it's like because sometimes you can use private here, but I think if it's just like standalone program, if you're using undergraduates, I think it has to. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it has to be public. Anyway, check it out. I'm not sure. So we create first instance of undergraduate, which is Marek, and you just write, you just type new undergraduate and brackets, and that's going to use the first constructor, the non-argument constructor. Okay, and then as before, we're going to check what happens when you use that empty kind of non-argument constructor. Okay, so that's going to print that out, and then we want to set the fields, so populate the fields with all the data as before, plus the stream name and final project name. So we cover all the fields for undergraduate. And then we want to, yeah, so the marks, we want to populate the marks, and I put them very low so we can, so it's below 50. The average is below 50, okay? And then we print it out. We print all the fields that are straightforward, then we print out all the marks. Yes, all the marks, and then we want to see if there is a warning to show, okay? It doesn't have to show the warning if the grades were higher, as per this method here. Sorry, as per this method here, if it's greater than 50 or equal to 50, then it doesn't show this warning. Okay, but in this case, I wanted to show it, so let's see what's going to happen. Control S, let's Java C test2 Java, and it should kind of compile all of them, all student, undergraduate, and test 2. So it kind of has all the pieces together. Nothing happened. It means it's fine, no errors. And I checked it before, so that's, I had some errors, so don't worry if you make some errors on the way. Java test2 enter, and we have um, our fields. So that's the first kind of just new undergraduate, no arguments. That's what you get from it. So it's kind of cool to know uh, what kind of information you can get from nothing. Like if it's string, it's null. If it's integer, it's 0. If it's Boolean, it's false. This is what happens when you give um, no value. And then I populated that with Mark Kubiak, my number, course, year, registered, stream name, big data, and final project name, big data in neuroscience, let's say. That's the name I put in, and these are the grades, 10 grades that I made up, and I asked the computer if it's less than 50, give me this warning, and it did. Like this is the line of code I wrote to get this warning. Check if the warning is actually um, has to be shown, and it has to be shown. Um, so what about, let's make it a bit longer. So that's tested. You can continue, but if you're interested in checking what is the static and number of students, how it works, I'll show it now, and how to use the second constructor, I can show it now as well. So let's see. First, let's see what it said. What does it say if we just do this? Undergraduate dot get number of students. Um, let's do it here, and then let's do it copy, and let's do it just after we create a new student. Let's Java C it, Java C test Java, and let's Java it. Okay, so let's run it. Why? Oh, well, that's interesting. It showed nothing. It's supposed to give me a number of students. Um, First, it gave me nothing. Null. That's the name. Uh-huh. Let's see here. Yeah, that's exactly the same. Didn't change at all. Did I compile it? Yeah, I did. And I run it. Let me see. I'll pause it here so I don't waste your time. Boom, and it's done. Must be like magic. Yeah, so forgot to print it. So that was an easy one. So basically what I did before, I just said return some number, and it was just returning that to nowhere. So you have to say, and it's nice to kind of say what you're looking at. Unlike here, like we don't know what that is. It's nice to kind of say, okay, so that's the number of undergraduates. And as you can see here, I just run it before. So before that line here, before I created new undergraduate, it was 0, and now it's 1. Okay. Um, if we, oh, let's see what's gonna happen if we add that line here and change undergraduate to Marek. Can we take an instance? Marek. Let's Java C. Java. It seems to work. To be working. Yeah, yeah. No, that's fine. So basically, what happened here? It probably knows that it's an undergraduate, and I'll show you in a second how exactly it works. So let's create a new in here. Let's create. I'll make this. Just want to make a line. So let's create a new undergraduate. Undergraduate. Say Justina. That's my girlfriend's name. She's lovely. New undergraduate. And now let's put in name. Justina Grzeszczyk. Yeah, it's a very easy name. You can write it in your code. And what we have, ID number, course, and year. Okay, so ID number will be whatever. Course is DT. She's not doing DT249, so I'll write. What is she doing? Full stack, whatever. Full stack, whatever. Okay. The year, she's doing the first year. And registration, yes. Stream and final project. Okay. So she is true that she is registered, and stream name was, oh, and I'll have to put some grades. Fuck. Okay, so stream, whatever, some stream and some project. Okay, and I know I need to put in some grades, but I have this, so I'll use array. Can I use it like this? Okay, I'll pause it here. I don't want to waste your time, so I'm gonna pause it in here and create an array list for her grades. Okay, and we're back again. I know it's a bit of a jumpy video here, but I really don't want to make it too long, so I had to import at the very beginning here, import Java utilities array list, and in here I just created Justina's grades, a new array list of integers and brackets because it's a function actually, there's a constructor here, and then I just added 90s, so it's a high it's a good student here. We have 10 grades, so it's populated with 10 marks, and that's the way it should be. And then, so what we could do here is we could populate the student Justina with all the data straight away. Okay, and let's see. I'll just use this here. I'll just take this here, copy, and just change Marek to Justina. Okay, go here and paste, and I'll just change this to Justina. Probably instances shouldn't be starting with the capital letter, just so you know. It should be lowercase. Oh, sorry. Control V. Nope. Z. I'll just copy this so it's quicker. Copy V. Oh, see. Control V. I wish it was a bit easier. Okay, and just take that bit here and that bit here. Okay. Okie doke. And one last thing. We're gonna take those two. Oh, those two. Just here. Paste, and also take this one, copy. So basically I want to see how to get basically getting a static number for one class. How does it work depending if I use the name of the class, the instance and the specific instances. Does it give exactly the same number? And I hope it does. It should. Control S, saved. Java C. Sorry, clear Java C test2, compiled, and then let's go to Java test2, and as we can see here, so from the beginning we checked. First we had 0, then I created Marek, and I checked with those 2 lines of code here, those 2 lines of code here, how many students we have now. So it's 1 for both ways. That's grand. Then we see what kind of information there is if we don't populate the information. Then when we do, when the grade is low, then we get the thingy, and then we get Justina. So whatever I put in here, here, so we have 90s. All the 90s are here. That's grand. We put those Justina grades in here, right? And then we put Justina, the full name, 123 is the number, and that's fine. Full stack, whatever, with of 1L, why not? And then first year through, blah blah blah. It's all populated through one line, and that's all thanks to 2 different constructors. So you can just you can do it the Marek way. So you create an empty kind of undergraduate, and then you populate it with the sorry, not the get strings, get methods, but set methods. And then the Justina way is where you create an instance of undergraduate with the with all the information. Okay, so that's it. And the last thing is that you can use either the name of the class or the instances. Well, as you can see, it all grew by one, and we have two students now, and it will always grow, and doesn't matter which one you use. It always gives you the number of that static number that always grows with all the instances. Okay. Thanks for watching, and we can have a look at the main kind of function on the next video. In the next video. In the next video.